Let's get started on making your own MCP server in VS Code. To start, we're going to talk about Copilot because you can't have an MCP server unless you have your LLM. So in the room, who here uses Copilot? Fantastic. Okay, great. We got some fans. To make sure we're all on the same page, let's do a quick review of Copilot. So first, I want to start with the fact that Copilot is now free it has a free tier, which is fabulous. You can get 2,000 code completions a month and 50 chat requests. So this is not, you do not have to have a subscription. Just get your own GitHub account and you can get connected. Here are a few of the top features that we've been working on recently. This is a ever-changing area, so always check our release notes. We're releasing tons of new things every single month, but to start, we have all these different models you can use and bring your own key. So if you prefer a different model, a different LLM, you can just plug that in. Bring your own local one too, that works as well, and get that into VS Code. We also have next edit suggestion, so this codes along with you. It's going to suggest things as you type. This is a fantastic way to get it to finish your thoughts as you're working, hopefully thinking what you're thinking next before you have to move your cursor. And then finally, agent mode. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about agentic coding with LLMs, and this is how you do it in VS Code. Agent mode. What agent mode is, and I have our blog linked here by our wonderful PM Isidore that can explain everything you need to know. You can also just look up the agent mode VS Code and this blog should come up. But agent mode is this autonomous pair programmer that will work with you and not only can give you answers, but can do tasks and do many things in your code base at the same time as you know, making edits and looking at, this is a run-in terminal. And so here it can, if you approve it, it's always about approving it. You can get Copilot to run terminal commands for you and then work with the output. So this is all about giving Copilot more tools so it can do even more to help you with your coding. So now that you know about Copilot, let's talk a little bit about the scenario that I found myself in last month when I was working on branch coverage for Python. So Ned's actually here. Big shout out to Ned. Thank you so much. Ned got branch coverage. He's the coverage maintainer. And so he implemented branch coverage in the API, which then I needed to write some code to check what version it was the user has and only show branch coverage if they're on the right version of the coverage package. And in the end, this is what it looks like right here. This is your regular line coverage, and this is branch coverage for each file and then overall. So that's the feature I was implementing. And so here's some of the code I ended up writing, which was pretty straightforward. It was just getting the version, since I could only show them branch coverage if they had the right support for it, which was version 7.7 and above. So as I was beginning to code this, before I did all of this, I was thinking, okay, how am I going to figure out, this version 7.7? I can go and, Ned send me an email. I could look at that, or maybe I'll go and look at the PyPI and, site and try and find where it's listed, or maybe the coverage, and then I'm going to have to read through it and find. So I was like, well, maybe I'm already in VS Code. Maybe I could ask and see if it knows the answer for me. So I got started and asked in ask mode. We have a few different modes. I told you about agent a little earlier. This is just asking questions. And didn't do too good. Version 3, that's a long time ago. And now if I want to get the most recent, it suggests a terminal command, but would be great if it could do it itself. Now we go to agent mode, a little bit smarter. It has some more tools. I asked again, I start saying it's not right, and okay, finally it gets to using this tool, fetch this web page, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like the right web page to fetch, and then here we go. We were able to get that it was version 7.7. So that's the answer I wanted, but as you see, we took a few to get there. So how could we instead make this a little easier? And that's when the idea of making an MCP server came into my mind. So MCP is Model Context Protocol, and it's just a way for different applications to communicate with LLMs in a standardized way. So think it's like an API that all applications can use to be able to provide different things to the LLMs that the LLM can then go off and use as it's trying to figure out an answer for you. So it can provide data resources. You could connect it to your database. It could do database calls for you to be able to figure things out. You can have tools to be able to execute actions for you, or you can have interaction patterns with prompts. So I was thinking tools was the best method for me. And a tool example we can kind of think about as we think about MCP is, let's think about the weather. If I ask a model, what's the weather today, it's not going to be good. It might guess based on where I'm located what the weather might probably be like, but it can't give me the exact details. It doesn't know that current information. But if I add an MCP tool, and this tool looks it up for me, and contacts weather.com and gets the exact information, I could have my LLM use that tool. So my LLM is smart enough to say, okay, I want to use my get weather tool, and then it gets that information, it's returned, and now it can answer my question, what does the weather look like today? So that's what we're trying to do here, but instead getting some PyPI info. And I would be remiss if I didn't show you the entire diagram of how it works, which is a little confusing, but this is what we're going to be making today, an MCP server. An MCP server contributes a tool. There are also tools here in blue that are built into VS Code. So read file, edit file, run in terminal, those already exist in VS Code today. You can use them as they are now, but you can also contribute in a tool, and then agent Copilot will call your tool, and then go through this inner loop of deciding what information it needs, and then after that we'll return the information to the user, and obviously don't forget about tool confirmation, just to make sure you want to do exactly what the tool is asking you to do. So this is how all of those things kind of flow together in VS Code. And this is what we're going to be using today to build our MCP server. So my MCP server is going to get the PyPI information. I'm going to contribute a tool that's going to get the PyPI info. And then my agent, Copilot, can call this tool, get PyPI info, to then hopefully help answer that question I asked originally in more than 3 conversation turns, which is what it took without any extra info. So I will be using this SDK that MCP comes from, is used by everyone. It's open source. So here's the library I'll be using. And now it's time to dive into VS Code. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully looking familiar to people. Our VS Code window. Let's see if we make it a little bigger. Oh, or just disappear. That works too. Okay, this is fine. So to start, I obviously had to make a PyProject.toml file. My old boss, Brett Cannon, who helped write these, would be remiss if I didn't put this in. And I started here because we have a few dependencies I need to make sure we're including. But other than that, no part of my environment or workspace is set up. And that's because it gives me a great opportunity to talk about the Python environments extension, our very new in preview extension that will soon be shipped along with the Python extension. Right on the side here, you can see some of our tooling. And what's great about this is it can do a lot of things for us without much input. including create environment commands, because obviously I want to use a virtual environment. And so I'm going to choose this quick create. That looks great to me, especially because it says installs workspace dependencies. What's great here is that since I have a PyProject.toml file in my current workspace, it will find that and install the necessary libraries that I have listed here as my dependencies right away. So that was one click. Now I have my virtual environment, which you can see over here. And they're listed. Look at that. There's beautiful soup, the right version. We have all our required packages to get started. So that's fantastic. One click, and we're all set up, ready to go. And even if we look at our terminal, it was already doing some stuff earlier. It's activating in our terminal. So one click, up and running, and working in all parts of VS Code, which is fantastic. So next, we're gonna write some code. Or I'm not gonna write any code. That's what Copilot is for in this moment. I'm gonna put down the microphone because Courtney's gonna hold it. Now we're gonna do our typing. Create a file for me that gets information from the PyPI API and use it to me for a given package I pass in. Get information like maintainers, versions, extra info, descriptions. Fantastic. Okay, so here's my prompt. Important point, I am in agent mode, so it can do some extra stuff for me. Let's see how it does. Let's see how our vibes are today. We got to send good vibes for our vibe coding, obviously. And it's going to do some work now. Okay, fantastic. It created a new file for me. Let's take a look. Oh, this looks great. It uses requests, which I installed already, and look at all this info it gets for me. And it even added a main function, which is perfect. I didn't even ask for that, but that's even better. So I can test to make sure this works. I can also keep this. It did a good job. Okay, so now I'm gonna run my main function. Oops. One-handed coding is a new skill for me. Okay, let's see. And then, do I have to pass in the package? So nice, it told me I needed one. Okay, let's try my very favorite PyTest and see how it does. Oh no, we got an error. We hate to see it. Why don't we just see if Copilot can fix it for us? Because I don't really know about this. I'm gonna write a little more context for it.
You are just casing the dead air for the terminal of any Copilot as your context, trying to troubleshoot on here.
Okay, fantastic. Just like that, it's saved itself. So not too bad. So here we go. We're back, and we have our script, which got a lot of versions, but a lot of different info about PyTest. All of these things, which are super useful and will hopefully help us as we continue on with our MCP server. So now we're going to take this, which is just, a function. You all know how to write a Python function, turn it into an MCP server. And luckily, oh gosh, here we go. I'm just on that website I showed you before. I'm going to paste this in, give the model an idea of what type of code I want it to write, and then change this from just a function into an MCP tool. Okay, great. Let's see how it does. It's working. This is always the worst part, waiting to see if it goes well. It's going to make a new file for me. This is awesome. Let's head over and check it out. Okay, git info. And then, oh, interesting, it made it a MCP resource and a tool. I like this tool. This is awesome. And it has a good description. Okay, I'll keep that. That looks perfect. And now let's scroll down to the bottom. This is one little secret addition we have to use is, oops, I want to be using SSE, which is server send events. You have a few options with MCP, including standard IO. I'll just be demoing it with SSE today, but both of those are supported in VS Code. So now this is great. We'll give it a save, and now we're going to run my server to get it up and started. Okay. And hopefully, here we go. It will start up the MCP server, and then, oh, okay. This is what happens when you do your demo right before your demo. Your pre-demo gets in the way of your demo. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, now I'm going to open this web page. That doesn't give me anything, but again, the secret sauce is the SSE. Fantastic. Now we have endpoint, and we're getting this is just telling us that it's on and working, and that's exactly what we want to see. So now, what we've done so far, to recap, we've made a function, and now, just with this and creating the MCP server, we're now making an MCP server and turning that function we made into a tool call. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add the MCP server, so then VS Code Copilot can look at it. Great. Here's what we talked about before. We chose SSE. That's server sent events. And now we're going to select the URL, which we already looked at before. Fantastic. Pop that in. Going to give it a name. So we'll go with PyPI. That'll be the name of my MCP server. And then this is just if I want it to be used for all across all of my workspaces, or just this one. We're just going to do this one for now, since that will very easily create a folder for VS Code and put that in. So here we go. We put in our server. This is the one we talked about, and we put in that URL, and it's running in the terminal here. And so you already see, look at that, it got one tool. And we can take a look at this further. If we go here, this is our tools kind of button. And if we scroll down, we'll see what we just wrote here. And it has the information that it's getting here. This is the description of what the tool does. This is interesting. This literally just comes from the comment we have right here. That's all you have to do. You just have to write a comment about what your tool does. And with MCP and this SDK, it's just going to plug that in kind of as a description so the LLM knows. So now when the LLM, I'm going to ask it another question, and it's going to know it now has this tool that can get PyPI information. So here we go. Let's see if it can do a little better this time. Okay. Oh, nope, it didn't want to use my tool. Sometimes this happens. It happened every other time before where it did want to get my tool, but that's what demoing is. Okay, let's try it again.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Fantastic. Second time's the charm. This is how it runs. This is what it looks like when it runs your MCP server. This is the description as we talked about, and this is what it's going to run with. And it's great. I have some options so I can set my security around when I want it to run. But this is great. I'll just click continue. And now let's see. Okay, this is great. Now it's looking to fetch the website. That's two tool calls working together. That's what you want in agent mode. First, the MCP server, now the tool call to look at that website. And hopefully it will read what it was able to read before and get us the right version here. Fantastic. Look at that. That's exactly the version we want, 7.7. So minus the first time where it was a little stubborn, we were able to get it to tell us exactly what version we're going to need to write into our code. And there's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of fun questions you can ask. Maybe we'll ask this one since we're at PyCon. Anyone have a package they want to ask about? A favorite? Requests. Anyone else? What was it? Hypothesis. Okay, let's see. Okay, fantastic. We'll start with PyTest. Then we'll go to coverage. We'll get the information we need there. It likely will try and run this for all of the packages we asked about. Let's see if it can concisely deliver the information it found with these requests. Fantastic. And look at this. Now we have the list of people that if we, it's even giving us some suggestions. Maybe we tweet about our favorite people too. This is fantastic. So this is just a little intro into how you can start making your own MCP server and then connect it into VS Code. As you saw, we were able to introduce a new tool that provided information about Python packaging, and with a little second try, get the tool, get Copilot to use our tool and give us our answer in one go. So you can only imagine the other MCP servers you can make, or the other MCP servers that other people have made that you can now bring into your VS Code and start using right away. So thank you so much, and I'll take questions with Courtney. Thank you. Fabulous. Any questions? Yes.
So I don't know if this is working.
It might only be for the
All right.
recording. I'll repeat your question out
Sure.
here.
To avoid that second step, is there any sort of like keywords or hooks that you can kind of optimize to make sure it goes to your MCP?
That's a great question. How do we optimize to make sure it uses our MCP on the first run? The best thing you can do is play around with this, the information about what your tool does, because this is what the model is going to read. So I've had to do like some finagling sometimes in terms of if we're not clear enough about what information you can get. We didn't say anything about like a change log or being able to get like versions and what was released in different versions. So I think if I could go back and rewrite it to include that, since like maintainers version descriptions, you saw it jumped on maintainers right away and was already using that tool. So making the description as good as possible so that Copilot knows exactly what it can use it for is great. And sometimes even being like, always use this tool when you're doing X, Y, Z, that type of stuff. You can put that, into the description to make it more likely to select your tool. That's a great question and obviously something we run into all the time. Anyone else? Yes.
So my question is, how can I give like managers or somebody that doesn't code access to question my code base?
Yes. Okay, access to your code base, like to an MCP server you wrote?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, super easy. So there are actually a lot of different ways to connect your MCP server. One of the ways is if you have an MCP server that's contributed by an extension. So let's say, I think we have a Mermaid extension, and that one helps you make diagrams. So the Mermaid extension can contribute an MCP server, and you can install it through here. Or there are other ones, just like you use in Claude Desktop, for example, that exist on the web and are just servers you can hit anyways for maybe another tool you use. That's where you can go through here, and you might use the same server send event that I used, and it's just a web page that it has to hit. So you can make them. And then if they're hosted somewhere, then you can give someone the necessary information to host it, which is kind of like this, and then it should work. What's great is that this is in the VS Code folder, so you can commit this to your repo, and then as long as someone comes in here and like clicks start, the MCP servers that you have kind of configured can work on someone else's. So this is, yeah, just commit this to your repo. And then as long as, it doesn't work for us because we're running it on localhost here with my tool. I would have to, put my tool somewhere else other than localhost to be able to access. But yeah, this is a great way to give tools to other people and be able to share them. And then MCP too, you can use it on Claude Desktop and anywhere else that supports MCP, which means your tool's even more valuable. Fantastic. Anyone else? Great. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of PyCon.